The book Change by Design accepts that the best innovation are those created through design thinking. The author, Tim Brown, is uniquely qualified to write a book titled Change by Design. He asks us to become design thinker, thinking about problems in a way we never considered before. The true design thinkers will ensure that there is perfect harmony between the feasibility, viability, desirability of any solution brought to the marketplace. In order to do this, walking a mile in your customer's shoes is key. Experience what they experience, remembering what the insight almost always come from our power users, or conversely, the people who have extreme difficulty using our product or service. Once we have that insight, it's time to create a solution. Make sure that explore multiple options that potentially solve the problem. At the same time, we need to at least cut off options so that we can execute a small number of them. Finally, we move into the rapid prototype phase, testing the winning ideas in quick and dirty fashion. The critical issue here is to get feedback from our customer, not to produce a polished, finished product. Rinse, wash, and repeat until we have winning product that solves a big problem.
We tend to think of design thinking as making things easier to use, more attractive or more functional. For example, one of Tim Brown's earliest briefs as an industrial designer was to design a fax machine. But by the time he was brought into the project, someone else had already thought through the process, and he was basically hired to map out where the buttons went. These days, designers are being used earlier in the process at the problem-solving stage and continue to be involved in the experimentation and implementation of the idea. Designers have a holistic approach, working with human beings to understand the issues rather than being focused solely on business or technology issues. This concept is the basis of design thinking methodology that is not just applicable in the so-called creative industries, but any industry. Now, let me explain how design thinking turns people need into demand.
Design thinking is integrated by nature, a balance of people, technology, and business. But of the three parts, the people or human-centered approach is the most important to innovation. Design thinkers observe how people behave and relate it to product and service. They take into account the emotional meaning of things as well as their functional performance. From their observation, they identify people's various needs and translate them into opportunities. A great example of this is Bank of America, Keep the Change program, building on a common saving habit of tossing change into the jar. Bank of America created a program in which it automatically rounds up debit card purchases to the nearest dollar and transfer the difference into the customer saving account. This creative goodwill approach spawned more than 700,000 new checking accounts and 1 million new savings accounts in its first year. A perfect example of how design thinking converts need into demand. But how does one go about creating a culture of design thinking within an organization? Here's one way.
If you want to know the strength of your company's innovative culture, look at how rapidly ideas within your organization are made tangible enough so that they can be tested and improved. Design thinking encourages experimentation and accepts that there is nothing wrong with failure as long as it happens early and becomes a source of learning. The best way to test any idea is prototyping, quick, cheap, and dirty within the company and in the real world. Prototypes need to be testable, but they don't need to be physical. Storyboards, scenarios for movies, and even improvised acting can produce highly successful prototypes. Whole Food is an example of a company that encourages experimentation. Literally on the shop floor, they create small team in each department and in each store and encourage them to experiment with product selection and layout. But innovation or design thinking doesn't happen without design thinkers. You must find them, nurture them, and free them up to do what they do the best.
Design thinkers may be in short supply, but they exist in every organization. Who among your staff spend time matching and listening to customers? Who would rather buy a prototype than write a memo? These people are your raw material and your energy. Their money, the giant healthcare provider, Kaiser Permanent Knowledge Exchange is the case in point. Kaiser had problem with how nurses manage change. It too long created inconsistencies and made patients uncomfortable. Kaiser picked a core rule for each of the staff, including nurses, to tackle this issue. After weeks of observations, they realized that patients wanted to hear the exchange of information when one nurse's shift ends and the other begins. So, after much brainstorming, prototyping, and role-playing, the nurses designed a new way of exchanging information in front of patients rather than in private. This act not only created better relation with their patients, it also made the nurses much more efficient and engaged. As you can see, design thinking is not limited to so-called creative industries. Creative leaders can infuse design thinking into every level of an organization, product, or services.
A few moments later.